As MKLM has worked on its strategic plan, one goal has risen to the top: to position us to be effective and sustainable in the 21st century. But this goal begs the question, aren't we already effective and sustainable? What makes us think we're not? The answer goes back to Vatican II, which theologian Karl Rahner thought marked the shift from a Eurocentric church to a world church. At Vatican II, representatives from non-European local churches for the first time had a significant voice and seemed poised to take on leadership within the church. Rahner was convinced this change to a world church would be as momentous and disruptive as the first century movement from a Jewish Christianity to a Gentile Christianity. To understand why this would be such a dramatic shift, it may be helpful to look at some of the history of mission. According to Robert Schreiter, there have been 3 waves of mission. The first wave occurred in the 15th century when ships from Spain and Portugal first sailed around the world. It was a time of conquest, but right behind the conquerors came Spanish and Portuguese missionaries who had one clear, urgent goal: to spread the gospel and convert people to Christianity. We may have mixed feelings about both the goal and the way it was achieved, but it had the benefit of clarity. If they had had bumper stickers back then, you could have fit the goal of mission onto one: spread the gospel. A second wave of mission happened a few hundred years later, with the ease of transportation introduced by better roads, better ships, and eventually the invention of the steam engine. By then, most of the world had at least some nominal introduction to Christianity, but there were nascent local churches all over the global South in need of mentoring and nurturing. Accompanying them in their development became the focus of mission in this era. To accomplish this goal, mission was carried out largely by national sending organizations from the more established local churches of Europe and later the U.S., organizations like the Paris Foreign Missions Society. Another organization established in this era was the Catholic Foreign Missions Society of America, otherwise known as the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers, on whose model MKLM was eventually founded. In this era, as in the last, mission was one-directional, reaching out from Western cultures to local churches in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. There was an assumption that any person of faith from a local church in a Western nation would naturally have something significant to share with the communities in non-Western cultures. Local churches in the global North were permanently seen as the givers, and the churches of the global South were always on the receiving end. Unfortunately, this Eurocentric attitude was also fundamental to the colonialism of the time that left an indelible mark on so many countries around the world. Now we come to the third wave of mission, again brought in by a new era of globalization and ease of travel. During this period, and certainly by Vatican II, not only had the world been introduced to Christianity, but local churches of the global South had reached maturity and were offering new theologies like liberation theology that had a profound influence throughout the world. Further, in many places, those younger churches were flourishing. In contrast, many of the older churches in Europe, and the U.S. were starting to languish, their pews empty. This reality raised the question of whether national sending organizations from the global north are still needed in the context of a world church where local churches from around the globe are ready to interact as equals. If so, what exactly is the role of these national sending organizations from Europe and the U.S.? If not, what form should mission take? These questions are at the heart of what theologians see as a crisis of mission in our day. There has been a paradigm shift. Previous bumper sticker clear ideas of the role of mission in the world are gone, but no single comprehensive idea has risen to take their place. Further, many mission organizations were founded during the second wave, and though their values have been evolving, their structures were built to support an older, Eurocentric idea of church. These issues are not merely theoretical or theological. They've had a profound impact on the sustainability of many mission organizations in our times. In the absence of clarity, many Catholics feel decreased enthusiasm for and urgency about contributing their time and talent and resources to support mission. As a result, some mission organizations have had to close their doors for good. MKLM, too, has struggled to attract the prospective missioners and the money it needs to survive. Of course, many cultural shifts and issues such as the church scandal and cover-up have contributed to these problems. But theologians have suggested the core of the problem is that now that mission has effectively accomplished the tasks it took on in the first two waves, we need a new, comprehensive, and compelling vision of mission. What this means for MKLM is that to be effective and sustainable in the 21st century, we will need to reflect deeply on what it means to do mission in the context of a world church. That question will touch on every aspect of our organization, from our structures to the ministries we engage in, the people we invite into mission, and the places where we choose to serve.